Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. I'm your host, Dr. Shah Siddiqui from Time Research and Innovation, 𝐁𝐮 Marketing Agency, and Neurodivergent Business Consortium. As you know, we do live webinar through this channel and try to contribute knowledge to the platform and businesses. So today, specifically, we wanted to contribute together, and I have a special guest with me today. Please excuse me for my internet speed and lines because I'm just having some troubles last couple of months, and I have changed my internet provider, so a new line will be installed next week. But you can't leave without problems, can you? But we have to work in between problems and sorting these out. So that's why I want to discuss today mentorship, how it can support you to grow further, solve your problems, give you peace of mind, and a lot of other things. So we have a special guest today. You know him very well as we work together and we contribute to this channel and so on. So if you want to access any question, feel free to access through the comment box on LinkedIn, and we are broadcasting this live through YouTube, Facebook, and so on. So I will not spend any more time. I will just invite our guest to join. And he is Terry Arnold from Terry Arnold Consultancy. Hello, Terry. How are you today?
Hi there, Dr. Shah.
So most of you might know Terry already because we do a lot of program together and we contribute together, and we had our previous events talking about mentorship as well. So mentorship is core for anyone you wanted to grow. Either you have a business and you wanted to grow, or you are a standalone person and you wanted to have a mentorship. Anything that you would do, it will steer your growth. I can share my personal experience, Terry. I'm from Southeast Asia, and I was continuous under mentorship from I would say, from my secondary. So, teachers, students, friends, big brother, and a lot of other people. In Southeast Asia, people normally will give you advice, isn't it? In this country, it's less. But if we talk about Southeast Asia, like in Bangladesh, you will always have someone within your family or extended relatives or someone from your local village or town. We will give you some advice. In the UK, I think the families they are a little bit far away uh, from the community, but I have also seen if you go to the more rural areas in the UK, you will see their community is there, so they will guide you through. Okay, if you're doing something, they will let your parents know. Okay, I have seen your son is over there, isn't it? So for myself, mentorship was different, and mentorship aided me who I am now. So every individual person, they are engaged, they were engaged with me, contributed to my growth. I wanted to ask you, Terry, because you have seen our generation, you have seen the previous generation, and you will see the future generation. Aligning all of those experiences together, you have vast knowledge. So in relation to that, how mentorship is shifting and what it should be, can you tell us?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shah, and hello, audience. I would say there was probably one very fundamental period where I was beginning to really question when where I was heading, and I came up with a pretty privileged background in terms of not digital, but in terms of experience via my experience at Unilever, and also as a creative director of BBDO International. But then I went out and built my own consultancy, and that ran for 10 years. And then I think the stumbling block and where I started to question things was when the Big Bang came along, and again, I won't go into the details, but the opportunities were so huge that they were almost, incomprehensible, put it that way.
Mhm.
I think anybody that lived through that period, the Big Bang period, it was literally pretty mind blowing. And I sort of started questioning, where I was heading. And it was my wife at the time that came to me and said, why don't you just carry on and do what you're doing? You like what you're doing quite well, etc. And that was such a revelation I hadn't even considered. So what I did is I thought, well, obviously, everything's going digital and so on and so forth. I'll just stick with it. And now I am where I am, which again, I won't go through the history of where I am at the moment, but it served me well. I've been through, various stages, distinct stages, which I can, as I say, identify quite clearly. And we're now in the AI stage, which, it makes me speechless, to be quite honest.
I understand, but in relation with the technology changes, when you brought up your early childhood or all teenager or even adulthood, what's the differences you spotted, like that time, your time, present time, and what will change in the future? How do you predict them in
Uh,
relation with mentorships and so
oh,
on?
right. Okay. In terms of mentorship, well, if you want to keep, mentorship, it's come of age because of the internet, put it that way.
Mhm.
But your periods of growth, if you go through your teenage years, I was at grammar school, and I was at a very good school in Wales, and that period I was in. We were divided into sciences and arts, a very clear distinction. And I was in sciences. And then I wandered down the art class because I had all my qualifications and, I could relax a little bit. And I discovered the art class. Well, that was such a revelation for me. And my whole life changed at that point. And from that point onwards, I became very interested in the arts, so much so that I studied at a university and so on and so forth. So that was probably one of my fundamental influences and changes in my life. And then during the 20s and 30s, my age from 20 to 30, I was in Unilever, and I was pan-European. I was, influenced on a multicultural level, as you would imagine, with the influence of Unilever brands. And that sort of really expanded my mind, that there was a world. Well, when I started off, I didn't even realize there was a world beyond the UK, but I then was introduced obviously to other brands and influences and so on and so forth. And then finally, my final breakthrough came through when I was in my early 30s, 33 to be precise, when I joined I had the opportunity to join BBDO International. And then that final stage put me on the path of global, put it that way, global brands, not just pan-European, but global influences. And from that, I then built up a consultancy, which was, global, put it that way. It only specialized and only dealt with global brands. So that really sort of set the scene for me on a path of development and mentorship. A lot of it was, influenced by those companies. But then take it to the final stage, where, for example, I am now with Dr. Shah, and I rely heavily on mentorship because I ended up at a stage where I had quite a serious stroke. And as you can imagine, I was the head of I was what do you call it?
Are you talking about IVC?
Vice president of a global marketing agency, which employed 400 people. So I was number 2, you know, in the hierarchy. And then I had the stroke, and that came during the period of the pandemic, and everything, you know, just you know. Well, you know, I was put in a coma for 4 days, you know, so I had to go back to square one. And being a pretty determined person, you know, it's in my blood that, you know, I wouldn't give up, you know, and I thought, you know, it took me 3 years to get myself sorted and to get myself back to, shall we say, the level that I am at now. And a year or two ago, I met Dr. Shah. Obviously, I was looking around for a mentor, and he and I gelled, you know, quite well, I would say, very well. You know, he had the intellect and the skill sets that I was looking for. And, you know, personality-wise, we just hit it off, you know. So that's the path I am on now, where I've got this, you know, if I tell you that I didn't even know where the on-off switch was on my computer, you know, when I had my stroke. But because anyone that understands neurology and understands, you know, the effects of a stroke, they will say to you, you know, obviously the doctors said to me, you know, you'll make a pretty good recovery, because it was in your neck, it's not in your head. You know, the stroke was in your neck. You'll make a pretty good recovery, probably 80%, whatever. And 80% recovery. So I was determined, you know, to go down that path, you know, where, you know, I wouldn't allow myself to have that sort of setbacks. But the point I'd like to make, just to round it all off, is you have to have an understanding of neurology. Not you don't have to have this understanding, but you know, it's better to have an understanding of neurology, to understand that nature is such a wonderful, you know, influence, you know. It can reconnect itself. It'll find other routes to connect with, you know, with the memory, shall we say? We call it the memory. That, you know. And it will reconnect. The trouble is, it might not connect exactly how you wanted it to connect, or how you remember it. If you remember how it was connecting before, it will find its own routes, and that's when things, you know, start to become, I wouldn't say confused, but you have to sort of patient and understand nature.
Thank you, Terry. I will share my screen. So I just wanted to show a show reels that we have produced so far. So just give me a second. I'm just going to play. So let me know if you can hear the sound.
Welcome to Gen Z Marketing, where your online success is our top priority. We are a dynamic and innovative team that understands the fast-growing digital landscape. We know what it takes to stand out in an increasingly competitive online world. Our top-notch SEO services are tailored to elevate your online presence. We don't just follow trends, we set them. With Gen Z Marketing, you're not just another client, you're a partner in our journey to digital excellence. Furthermore, we don't stop at SEO. At Gen Z Marketing, we offer a full suite of digital marketing services tailored to your needs. Our competitive analysis.
So, sorry.
Welcome to the Solent Business Mentoring Program.
I'm just gonna.
Our initiative is dedicated to empowering local.
Sorry, I think I made a mistake. I just clicked something, and it was playing the video that I would play in the next. So I will just go to my old video. Just give me a second, and just give me a couple of seconds. I will just play that for you. And I lost that video, so I'm just gonna play this video.
Welcome to the Solent Business Mentoring Program. Our initiative is dedicated to empowering local SMEs across the creative tech, visitor economy, and manufacturing sectors, and those committed to achieving net zero sustainability. Through our program, businesses benefit from up to 12 hours of one-on-one mentoring tailored to foster growth and resilience. Our team of industry experts, including Dr. Shah Siddiqui from Time Research and Innovation and GNZ Marketing Agency, delivers customized methodologies to address unique business challenges. At the Solent Business Mentoring Program, we leverage technology and innovative strategies to enhance business decision-making, digital marketing, and social selling. We aim to equip businesses with the necessary tools to excel in today's competitive market. We have a series of success stories showcasing these incredible transformations. We asked Thomas Hutchinson, founder of Century 33 and NAD NBC, to share his experience.
My name is Thomas Hutchinson from Century 33. I'm a neurodivergent advocate and consultant, and we specialise in diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging assessments for businesses and education. So with the help of Solent Partners and Dr. Shah Siddiqui's framework, it really helped me to establish a system in place. The one thing that I was kind of missing, I had all the ideas and the aspirations and knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, but didn't have the business system in place to go step by step. Everything in my mind is thinking non-linear and it's cobwebbing from pillar to post, but Dr. Shah essentially helped me get it all out of my brain onto a piece of paper and work in manageable steps from there. So I'm always thinking about the end goal. That's the idea, that's the dream, that's what's come to me. And everything else, if it's not in the forefront of my mind, it doesn't exist. So what was really nice is to be able to bounce that around with Dr. Shah and offer his framework and have goals to reach. And these are manageable goals that take what I'm thinking of from my head and putting that into a timeline.
If you want to know more about the tailored methodology, contact us.
So I think I am end of the that was just a standalone compliments from Thomas Hutchinson. So we collaborate together now, as similar like you, Terry. We used to work together. I was mentoring Thomas, and now we become business partners, and we collaborate together. And I have some other case studies as well. So if someone wants, if any of you wants to view all the case studies, you can go to mentoring.timemoney.com. So you will see all the mentorings that we have done. So when I started my mentorships years ago, I was considering the lessons that I have learned from my mentors, and those specifically tailored my growth, and as well as I'm contributing to grow people or mentees nowadays. When you are working with these big corporations, you might have a mentorships, maybe senior managers or so on. How do you play your role based on the information that you received, Terry?
Well, I think because I was fortunate enough to work in quite large organizations, strangely enough, I was put in positions where I did have people reporting to me, even in my 20s at Unilever. And they all had their own areas of specialization. But what was consistent across all those was that I was in a position of responsibility, imparting my knowledge and experience to them, and helping them along. But however, if I take just one example, Unilever, and it's a very good example, what a lot of people don't realize about Unilever is that they don't have a middle strata. They have, the average age is they're either fairly young people in their organization, in their, shall we say, early 20s, mid 30s max, and then it jumps. They have then probably very experienced people who are in their 50s and even early 60s, that sort of age. And the reason that they do that is that, and they have that clear distinction, it has many advantages, I won't go through the list, was that what happens is that the more senior people are the mentors, because they have the wealth and background and experience that obviously the younger people in the industry or in Unilever in particular don't have. So, that is how Unilever approach, shall we say, mentorship. And then after that, what I realized was that a lot of the organizations that I was working with, whether it was in my own independent company or a later stage, many years later, with other global brands, they had, induction courses, trainees, traineeships, and I can't remember what other, there were all sorts of terminology, but what was basically what they were passing on was their group or individual knowledge to people within the organization or even outside the organization. And it was a form of mentorship, if you like, to spread the word, put it that way, or spread the experience. But more recently, in particular, obviously with Dr. Shah, what I realized is now, especially since 2020 or whatever, mentorship now, is really going mainstream, and you can pick up whole varieties of skills to very sophisticated levels. And with AI, which is what we're focusing on, not us personally, but what I'm focusing on now, is going to rocket us into another dimension, if you want to put it that way. And I think when you're working alongside Dr. Shah, for example, who is highly qualified, not only in AI, but right across the board, and I've chosen very well, I sort of like looked at it very closely. How did it fit? And it's turning out to be the perfect fit.
Thank you, Terry. It's been a pleasure, and that we're working together, and it's like on our last program, both of us mentioned that mentorship is not one-way thing; it's a two-way string. You give something and you take in return. You have vast knowledge, and that knowledge, I'm also learning those things from you, working with you, the tactics, the information, your case studies, those cases, there's those like 20 years of works and case studies that you have done so far. They're also contributing to my knowledge and the people that we are supporting together. And I had seen different stages of mentorships, and then I become a mentor myself. Um, you have to be what I would say, um, timely manner patient. Like, okay, if you are a mentor, you need to know what is happening out there, how technology is changing, and how you're going to be the settings is changing. Like last events that we did, that time we were talking about US election, isn't it? And we thought that, okay, the massive change is coming. If Kamala Harris wins, it's different. If Donald Trump wins, it's different. Now, people did not think about that Donald Trump will win again. But you see, the entire spectrum, entire world has changed because
Mm,
Donald Trump is different than the Biden administration or Kamala Harris administration.
mm,
So we need to tailor our methodology now based on American policy. I would say every country in the world, they will tailor their methodology based on the policy of Donald Trump. Now, in the morning, I was talking to one of my business partners with our new venture, Green Threads, DPP. So we are working for green technology, and we got a clients, Allied Feather, and they are big corporation in the global corporation. They supplies to big companies like Waitrose and so on. So we were talking about, okay, Donald Trump is there, so it's good for us. Why? Because he will think about trade. He will think about generating more income for the US. And if our clients, they are happy, we are happy because we're going to be getting more work. So we need to tailor our methodology based on the economy, based on the country, geography, technology, and so on. So I have seen mentors as well. They are very, I would say, strict. Like, okay, you can't do that, you can't do that, you have to follow my orders, and if you don't follow, I don't take responsibilities. And I have also seen people like mentors. I was mentored by Adrian Hopkins or other supervisors when I was doing my PhD. It's like, okay, Shah, do whatever you wanted to do. Uh, Give me a results,
mhm,
and tailoring my methodology what they want. Okay, but giving me the opportunity to think broadly. And
mm,
I have learned those things, like, okay, if you're working with someone, you need to give them the opportunity to grow. Doesn't matter what your methodologies are,
mm,
but those methodology only will be tailored to your mentees. I would say mental satisfaction, to your mentees talent, to the geography, and a lot of other things. So in relation to that, we are nearly working more than nearly an year, and we were working from scratch to come to the stage we are now. So, we have differences opinions. That's okay. That is normal, because when you have different opinions, then the work you're going to be doing, it will be more solid, because you will see different things differently, because every person is different. So the way you see things, I do not see that way, and the way I see things, you do not see that way. But if you combined both of the brain together, you see a different world, you see a different things. So my question would be to you, like, you're going to be mentoring people in the future with your knowledge, as you have started already working for the university and so on. How would you mentor people? What would be your core understanding and USP?
yeah, I think you've got to, the fashionable word today is agile. You've got
Mhm.
to be agile. You can put all sorts of adjectives to that terminology. Flexible. Open-minded. Whatever you want to put to it. As I say, the fashionable term now in digital terms is agile. So I think if you're too rigid, as Dr. Shah was alluding to, you become closed-minded, and that is, nobody benefits from that approach. And I can remember the old school way of thinking was, and one could even say, even in the army, is probably the best example of this, is that people were not flexible. Even when I was at school, they weren't flexible. They weren't open-minded. They had this idea that I should be doing sciences and not arts. I won't make a living in arts. As it turned out, I made better living in arts than I would have ever done in sciences. But, if you end up with that sort of like rigid outlook, I wouldn't say you're not going to go very far, but it's not the ideal type of approach, and certainly not in terms of mentorship. If you want to learn something, you've got to be open-minded to new ways of doing things.
I totally agree with you, Terry, because if you're not open-minded, you cannot grow. So you have to be open-minded to grow. In relation with changes of the technology or culture, economy, that pandemic has shifted us towards digital technology, and the growth of digital technology is huge shift. I would say when it was pandemic, we even didn't know about ChatGPT. We didn't know about those things that was developed under the skin, I would say. But after pandemic, we can see the shift towards digital technology. So there are some people, I would say SME leaders, they don't want to embrace digital technology. The way you embrace digital technology, I can see they don't feel it. Like, okay, they need to change to digital technology. They don't feel, okay, something like, okay, a young person can be a mentor to the person has to be aged. And the shift has changed. The way my son is learning things, sometimes I talk to him and learn things from him. So I'm taking mentoring or mentorship from my son. He's just 10.5. And that's the way for you to grow. And that will tailor methodology or the work you wanted to do differently. When I started working with you, I have seen that, okay, you have a great shift towards what you were doing and now what we are doing. So you have to be like clay. When you work with someone, yes, you will like something, you will dislike something, that's okay. You cannot agree all the things 100%. But you have to come to a conclusion when you work with individuals, like, okay, there is a common ground for both of the person that you're working, the mentors and the mentees. Like, okay, you have a common ground, and then grow that to the next level to get succeeded, whatever you are doing. So thank you for a valued, I would say, valued mentee. And working together, we become business partners. Now we're going to be growing towards high ticket clients and high value clients. In relation with that, I just wanted to extend our conversation. But before I extend our conversation, I just wanted to share, just give me a second. I just wanted to share my screen again. And we're going to be talking through those things. Just give me a second. I'm just trying to find my window. So here we go. So you can see my window now. Just give me a second. I think I have stopped it. Okay, sorry. That was my mistake. Replace. I was sharing. So just give me a second. I'm just sharing again. So I think I'm just having a technical problems on sharing my screen. Just give me another second. I will try. I will stop it and then I will share it again. So It's coming. Okay, it is working now. So we have, as you know, that both of us are neurodivergent. So when I developed my framework, I was thinking two settings. One is a neurotypical person, and neurotypical person is usually those people, they are not neurodivergent. So, what I did, I tailored my methodology for neurodivergent and neurotypical people. And based on that, I have developed the Zen 12 core formula. So, this Zen 12 core formula uh, will guide individuals if they wanted to extend their business to the next levels. So I was doing this framework for quite some times now, and as I said, I also develop my knowledge and also transform my knowledge to next levels. So after Gen Z 12 core formula, now as we are working together with Terry and other collaborators, we are working towards sales funnel accelerator. So this is another framework. This framework is to tailor business growth, and Terry is an integral part of sales funnel accelerator. We are working together to attract people and solve their problems, because with sales funnel accelerator, we have combined all our knowledge together to support individual businesses. So we have a tailored methodology, and this 7-step methodology, we will follow a process for this program from starting to the finish. So with this methodology, we will understand individuals and their business, and we will develop our strategy together. And we have a set of people, they are working with us. We have a team here, and our team is continually growing. So if any of you watching this live, if you wanted to, and if you wanted to join our team, feel free to message us through sales funnel accelerator. Our team is continually growing. We have 5 people in our team, and we are a versatile team. So someone will deal with sales growth, like Chris Silverwood from the coastal tide. Terry Arnold will deal with digital marketing, business expansion, global expansions from Terry Arnold Consultancy. I can work across the across different settings. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see it. We have Julie Gordon for Retain Your Brain. So she will support mental wellness and mindfulness. Michael Sten is a finance strategist, and our team is growing. And we're going to be working together towards our 7-step methodology. And each step, someone will engage with the process and tailored the methodology from start to end. And that will give you specifically mentorship, growth to the next level. So we will develop sales funnel, and we will work with social selling. We are working with Terry for a year now. So I just wanted to share the funnel that we have developed for Terry, and we are working towards attracting new businesses, as well as with our tailored methodology. So you can see Terry's funnel, and I will not go into details. So when we start our conversation, we will understand your business, and then we will tailor our methodology for the intended purpose. So if you are a business and you need strategies like Terry, or growth partners like Chris Silverwood and any other person, we will work with you to tailor the methodology and come up with a solution. So we will build a sales funnel for us to work, and as well as we will see the feasibility of your technology of your site. Like, okay, if you have a specific requirements for your website, like a shop front, so we have developed this for Terry as well. And you can see we have tailored different methodology for different purposes. So if you're a business and you wanted to work with us, we have vast experiences. I would say Terry is working more than 30 years now, or 35 years if I am, and you can see he has worked with vast people. So we can tailor our methodology to the next level. So we're going to be talking on technology. We're going to be talking on mentorship. We're going to be talking on sales, and as well as mental health and so on, finance. So we have everything on our team. Terry, I'm just going to stop my sharing. So you know that we have come to this stage to tailor our methodology to the next levels. In relation with digital marketing, how important it is for business leaders, like SME business leaders, and we are we are looking for companies they have 3 million flat turnover, because if the company have less than that, it's sometimes it's problematic for that to invest. So when you think about growth, you need to invest as well. So in relation to investment, mentorships, and growing business, if someone approach us, what will you do to them? How we would grow them?
Very to keep the answer succinct. I think there's various stages you have to go through, and on my website, those stages are the early stages are explained, because we're a research-based consultancy. All our information is based on research, which I would say, being quite advanced in the industry, I think that's the best place to start. Now, whether you're treating that information in terms of data information, or insights, or whatever aspect you want to take it on, primarily you're dealing with research generically. And I think that is the best way to start, because I used to think I had all the answers, and in many cases I was proved wrong. That nobody has all the answers, and in many cases there is more than one answer in any case. So how are you going to choose? And research enables you to get there through a logical path. And whether it's statistical, analytics, or whatever it happens to be. So with the consultancy, I've chosen that route to emphasize that route, and we're gearing ourselves down that route in all aspects. But then after that, and that's only one step. And I would say the next quantum leap is that you need to develop a strategy. And there's more to that, developing a strategy. A lot of people will, sort of imply that, anybody can come up with a strategy, and it's not that simple. There is a very methodical process that you have to go through in order to come up with the definitive strategy. Once again, you can have many solutions to the strategy and many angles on the strategy, but at the end of the day, to coin a phrase, you have to hang your hat on a peg, and and believe in it, because you will be, implementing the strategy can take, it can take, well, in most cases, it can take up to a year, 3 years, whatever. Or in most cases, the popular view now is the the strategy that you have or you're adopting needs to be flexible enough to take in all circumstances. And I think if you work in, say, shall we say, the FMCG, and in particular the supermarket type industry, that's a perfect example of how flexible you have to be. Because literally, if you're in the say, for example, the fashion industry, high turnover fashion industry, or something like that, you probably will realize that your strategy needs to be adapted probably every 2 or 3 months, because fashion is changing, at that speed. So, if you don't have a framework around which your strategy can be built, then, you'll be dead in the water. And then after that, you need a business plan, you need planning, and all sorts of other skill sets which will carry you through to a lucrative and definitive platform, put it that way.
I totally agree with you, Terry, because when we talk about someone, there are some statistics available online that majority of the businesses they exit in the landscape, they do not have a business plan. And when you do not have a business plan, how you can grow? Because without business plan, you do not know your ROI, return on investment. You do not know your KPI. You do not know what marketing plan you do. You do not know what technological innovation you need. So all of those things, when you talk to, because I intend to talk to many SME leaders, and sometimes they fail to understand, to have a strategical developments. Why? Some of them, they will say everything is on my head. And when someone tell me that, okay, it's on my head, and then I said I cannot access your brain because it has to be written on a paper that I can access it. So something is on your brain, that's very good. That's a plus point that you have a strong brain. But if something is on your brain and you have a team of 10 and you wanted to grow your business, no one can access your brain. And if you are off sick and if you have a problem and a lot of other things, it will be destroyed when your brain is not working. So your employee, they cannot access those information if that is not in a piece of paper. So that when we work together, we prioritize the strategical developments, research-based developments. Either it is mentorship, business development, and so on. And we see mentorships and business development differently than, I would say, other mentors in the landscape. So we're going to be working together for someone, and we will tailor our methodology to grow their business as well as to grow those SME leaders. Like, okay, if you're thinking something, you have to change. You have to have a good shift towards digital technology, towards economy, towards culture, towards a lot of different things happening. In the current space. If you do not consider those things, you're going to be lagging behind. You can't grow. So, how important it is for the SME leaders to keep up with the change, or they can stay where they are and they will be benefited. What do you think?
Well, I've come, you don't have to look very far, and you can see people who are, shall we say, open-minded, flexible, and willing to take on, shall we say, for example, technology, changes in technology, and those who aren't, they don't want to know, they're closed-minded, which, again, I don't criticize them. I don't say what's right or what's wrong. What's right for one person, it's not right for somebody else. And if they do not want to embrace technology, that's their life. They've made a choice, and I'm glad they've made a choice. They're comfortable You know, they know where they know where they'll be in 5 or 10 years' time, and in most cases, if we look at AI, for example, there's a lot of fear with AI, you know, and I still see it on headline news, you know, even on the BBC, you know, and you'd think they'd probably handle it slightly differently, being such a broadcasting channel, that they'd be a bit more tactful. But they say with AI, you know, they're still sort of implying that people will lose their jobs. Well, you know, if they're going to lose their jobs, that's their fault. You know, they've made a choice. You know, they've made a choice. I'm using the wrong words now. I shouldn't say their fault, but you know, that's their choice. And they don't want to embrace technology. But what's more exciting, from my personal point of view, is that there is a huge opportunity out there. And I even put it on my website now quite boldly. I think there's a sentence there, you know, about you know, my vision of AI, you know, and that is that that it's you know, you won't lose your job. You know, if you want to embrace AI, it'll just open up more channels. And as AI develops, and believe me, well, obviously it will, and we get insights into that side of it all, you know, to coin a phrase, I mean, we're going to be the masters of AI, we're not going to become the victims of AI, you know, I just don't agree with that type of point of view.
I totally agree with you, Terry, because, you know, when I can see a shift on technology, culture, and a lot of other things. Once upon a time, you know that LGBTQ community wasn't what I would say. No one accepted them. Now you can see there is a law we have to accept for equality, diversity, and a lot of other things. When I came in the UK in early 2000, and I can see the shift from that point and now is accepting people from outside. It has changed a lot. Last 20 years I have spent in this country, and I can see that I am an integral part of this community. I love this culture. I love my culture. And there is a combination of work that I'm doing to increase profitability, change views, and a lot of other things. So things will change. And if we do not change based on the culture, based on the geography, based on technology, it's our choices anyway. There are people out there, you will see there are hardcore people in the UK, and left and right, a lot of other things. But you cannot grow if you are too much into something. You need to embrace, you need to have a middle ground, and have as a resolutions, like, okay, problem solving resolution, like, okay, I will solve my problems differently than other people. And I totally appreciate your comments on, yes, I don't want it to grow. So if those people, they don't want it to grow, they don't want it to change their technology, they know they have made their choices. So after 5 years or 10 years of time, they have to wind up, because if they cannot keep up with the technology, is end of their life span, I would say. And
well, the difference is what I see. You know, if we just take the mainstream news, like the BBC, for example, you know, it caters for, you know, people who are craft minded. Put it that way. They're not technology minded. The vast majority. And that is because they are media driven. The BBC is obviously media driven. and that is the target audience that they can get the greatest number of viewers. 3, 5, 6, 10 million, 15 million, even at peak viewing hour, maybe even 16 million people. And we're just talking about in the UK watching, shall we say, I don't know, the news at 6 o'clock or something like that, a peak viewing hour. And that is the audience that they cater for. What we used to call in the old terms, the nanny state, which is not very, I would say nannies actually now are pretty well tuned in, but more so than they've ever been. So it's a bit derogatory. And I think even the mass audience, if you want to call it the mass audience, they are now so socially aware with social media, social channels and so on and so forth, and the way in which you see the social channels all sort of finding their own niches and markets, that they're becoming well tuned, put it that way. They know their preferences, and moreover, what is more important, they have their points of view. We've seen this in the most recent elections, and if there is a fear of anything, that if we want to talk, just in terms of politics, we don't have people in politics that are really up to the mark. And I'm not talking specifically about the most recent election. I think this has been going on maybe 10 or 15 years, that people are beginning to realize that politics is now such a sophisticated niche that the people that are in politics and steering the politics, then they're out of tune, and the whole structure of politics needs to be redesigned or repurposed or whatever. But anyway, that's a massive task, and it's not probably even going to be taken on by anyone specifically. They have to subdivide it all. But anyway, getting back to the subject, the world is becoming more and more sophisticated, and that's not going to stop. If it does, we would all be back in the Stone Age or the Industrial Age, and not in the technology age. There's no advance. And that's where, when I come back to my original point, when I look at the audience and what they're attracting, there's a subdivision now, a major division, especially in the BBC type audience, where a lot of them now, they're not technology minded, and they can't do anything other than crafts, and again, I don't criticize it, but their earning potential is going to be limited. It's going to be how many they can manufacture by hand or whatever, whether they implement a piece of equipment or whatever. It's numbers orientated and it's unit orientated. It's not conceptual in terms of a big idea that is overarching everything, like a strategy, and applicable to many different types of categories.
Thank you, Terry. It was a great example, and I would say we are. When we start our program, we just end of our program now, so we have to say bye-bye to the audience. So before I say bye-bye to the audience, I just wanted to ask you the final key takeaways for why mentorship is needed and how we can tailor mentorships to the business community that we are looking for.
If we talk just mentorship in general, I would say choose a mentor. You will benefit, and the biggest benefit you'll have is that they will have probably been there, done that, and they have a wealth of experience that they can then impart and share with you. So the path to success, and I use the term success very loosely, not just financial success, but it'll be more rewarding, and it'll move faster. The second point I would suggest taking on board is that when you take a mentor, be flexible. You've got to have a flexible mindset, because that will cause less conflict, disagreement, whatever. I think the contemporary term is you can go with the flow. So I would strongly recommend that. And then my last point is, if you get the first 2 points right, it'll be a very enjoyable journey, and it'll be a very rewarding one, because you're open-minded, you're flexible, and you're getting the rewards that you expected and hoped for, and they will come through. It'll take time. If anyone wants fast results, just talk to me, and I'll be the first person to say, that I'm frustrated that things aren't going fast enough. But it's all about a learning curve. Everybody is on a learning curve. And that you have to accept that. You have to incorporate the time element to the learning curve. So that, in summary, that's what I would recommend.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you everyone for joining today's live webinar. Terry, please stay on the line. I will say bye-bye to the audience, and I will see you bye. So thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. We talk about mentorships, and we have given various examples and case studies. So if you wanted to know more, please feel free to go to our mentoring funnels, and that is mentoring.nbconsortium.com, or you can also browse mentoring.timemoney.com. So these two websites and funnels will give you detailed breakdown what it can be done and how you can achieve success. And as well as, if you wanted to know more, feel free to contact me or DM me through LinkedIn and all other social media. And we're going to be bringing more live webinars on mentorships and business development. So stay tuned, and please spread the word. And I will welcome you next week with more of webinars and audio events. Until then, stay tuned and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.